Welcome back to Quarantine Yoga. This is episode 2. In episode 1, we did everything on the ground. All of the mobility and flexibility movements and stretches were done on the floor. But in this episode, we're going to move from the ground to standing. And in those standing positions, the focus will be less on the flexibility and mobility, although they are there. The focus will be a little bit more on balance and coordination and stability. Because we are standing, I've shot it vertically, but unfortunately my lens isn't wide enough to get my body in frame when I am standing. In some of the positions you'll see, you can't see my hand, you can't see my foot, but hopefully you can use your imagination and sort of complete what that should look like. The intention is still the same. The intention that we had in episode 1 is the intention we're still going to take in this episode, which is to be present with your movement and your breath, and using those two things to pull you away from the thoughts and emotions and distractions, worries that you might have within this quarantine, given that there's so much unknown, everything is new. But using our movement in yoga and our breath that we have throughout this yoga practice to find some space away from those worries and distractions, and just giving some time to yourself and finding just the ability to be present and let go of all of those distractions and just give to yourself, give to your body, and find some moments of peace. So today it's standing, working a little bit more on balance and stability. I hope you enjoy it. Feel free to follow along. Feel free to use the movements today and combine them with the movements of the first episode and come up with your own flow. But today is standing. It's a little bit shorter. Hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, just let me know. But here we go. Quarantine Yoga episode 2.
So, just like we started with in episode 1, take a seated and calm position, one that is still but not too relaxed where you're falling asleep. And then just draw your attention to your breath and only your breath, pulling all of that air up as deeply as you can, pausing and stopping that breath in the middle, just for a count or two before you let it all out. Take 3 big deep breaths with that pause, letting it out as slowly as you can each breath. And after those 3 breaths, we're going to do a couple rounds of Robin's breath. So with hands at heart center, take a big breath in as the chest rises. And as you exhale, tuck that head, rounding the spine as you reach forward. As you breathe back in, open up that chest with arms wide. They can be bent or straight. And as you exhale, let those hands return to heart center. So in each part of that breath, you will move just like a seated cat-cow, if you will. So as you breathe in with hands at heart center, sit nice and tall, arch through that upper back, and as you exhale, tuck that head round the spine, reaching forward with both fingertips. And as you breathe in, open that chest up, sit tall, retracting the shoulder blades. As you exhale, return hands to heart center. And just follow that for 3 or 4 rounds, breathing in, sitting tall, rounding and tucking the head, reaching forward as you exhale. And as you breathe in, get as wide as you can, squeezing the shoulder blades, stretching that chest, and then just letting that breath out, returning back to neutral. So after a few rounds, we're going to move into a seated twist, bringing one knee forward, crossing the other leg on top of it, and then using the forearm and elbow for leverage to twist and rotate away from that front leg. Once again, just follow your breath, breathing out as you turn. And after 3 reps, just hold that position for 3 breaths, trying to rotate a little bit more with each exhale. And once you have those 3 breaths, rotate that other knee forward, cross the opposite leg over, and then place that forearm and elbow on the knee. And use the ground behind you and that front arm for leverage to turn and twist a little bit more with each breath. Just like we did on the other side. Hold for 3 breaths, allowing that breath to create a little more rotation through the spine. And once you have 3 breaths, go ahead and remove the block. Take a 4-point position, placing both hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And go ahead and exhale the hips to heels into child's pose. Again, take a second here in this position. Find that intention. Give to yourself. Don't worry about being perfect. Don't worry about anything except your breath and being in tune with the movement that you're currently doing. On your breath in, rise through table. Lift the knees and exhale the hips up and back, downward facing dog. You can bend and straighten one knee then the other, maybe both at the same time, pushing the hips to where the corner meets the wall. When you're ready, look forward, step forward towards the hands, and find your front forward fold. You can grab opposite elbows. You can twist and rotate from side to side a little bit. But just let your head relax, neck relax. Take a breath in, rise halfway up, hands to shins, back flat, and then exhale all the way back down. On your breath in, curl up as you reach wide into sun salutation, bringing hands to heart center as you exhale. As you breathe in, reach up as you sit back into chair pose. Exhaling, hands to heart center. And as you breathe in, let it out and twist. Elbow to opposite knee. As you breathe in, reset back to center. And exhale, twist and rotate. Elbow to opposite knee. On each breath in, reset. Exhale 3 times each way, and on that 3rd time, hold for 3 breaths, using the elbow for leverage to twist a little bit more with each breath. After 3 breaths, breathe in, reset, and rotate the other direction, holding for 3 breaths on this side. In this position, you should be able to wiggle your toes. The weight should be a little bit more on the heels. Should be able to see your toes. Breathe in, reset, and let that breath out, falling forward into forward fold once again. Take any movements you'd like, and then place the hands on the floor. Step back into plank. Pause for a second. Slowly lower down with the knees, exhaling, hips to heels, child's pose. Here you can move any direction. Just reconnect with the breath, bringing your attention more and more to that breath and to your movement, letting go of any thoughts or distractions you might have running through your head. On your next breath in, rise through table, point the toes, lift the knees, and exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Once again, step forward into front forward fold. I've turned so you can kind of see from a different angle, but keep facing the same direction, grabbing opposite elbows. May even grab behind the heels to pull yourself a little lower. Take a breath in, rise halfway up, hands to shins, back flat, and then exhale all the way back down. As you breathe in, curl up, reaching wide towards the ceiling, and on your exhale, bring hands to heart center. And then just take a second, shift to one side, lift the opposite leg, and then come right back down. And then once you're ready, pull that opposite leg along the front of your calf up towards your knee, pointing that knee out to the side into tree pose. You can keep hands to heart center. You can pull that foot up a little bit higher past the knee, sort of bringing your heel into your groin, but trying to hold for 3 breaths, working on your balance. After 3 breaths, slowly let go of that leg. Take any movements that you would like. And then shift to the other side. Lift that opposite leg for a second. Bring it back down. And then when you're ready, slide it along the side of your leg, pulling heel to the knee, pointing that knee out to the side into tree pose on this side. Again, if you can pull that ankle up a little higher to work on some of that hip mobility, feel free to do that. Feel free to reach straight over your head if you would like. Whatever you need to do, just hold your position for 3 breaths, working on your balance, staying on one leg and only one leg. And after 3 breaths, slowly let that foot drop, placing both feet back on the floor. Take a big breath in and exhale all the way back down, front forward fold. Take a big breath in, rise halfway up, keeping the back flat, and then exhale all the way back down once again. Place both hands on the floor, step back into a plank, holding that plank position with solid legs and abs. Slowly drop the knees as you exhale, hips to heels, child's pose. On your next breath in, rise through table, point the toes, lift the knees and exhale, hips up and back, downward dog. When you're ready, kick one leg straight up towards the ceiling, 3-legged dog, stepping forward to the outside of that lead arm, and then just grounding through that front foot. Rise up as you reach up into crescent lunge, and then from here, push that lead leg straight, slowly drop back down 3 times, just dropping and rising. On your exhale, bring hands to heart center and twist, bringing that elbow to the opposite knee. So as you exhale, turn and rotate. Elbow to the outside of the knee, just like we did in tree pose. Here we're just rotating in that crescent lunge and holding for 3 breaths after 3 reps. When you're ready, spin and open that back foot up into Warrior 2, both arms pointed straight across, parallel with the floor. And then flip your palm, reach behind the back, and side bend away from your front leg into Peaceful Warrior. So with each breath, reach behind, flip that lead palm, side bend away. And after 3 repetitions, go ahead and straighten that front leg, kick the hip back, and reach along the inside of that front leg into triangle pose. We'll do the other side so you can see a little bit better. We have a soft knee on the front side, reaching up towards the ceiling, stacking one hand on top of the other. And then when you're ready, rotate towards the ground, place both hands on the floor, Step back to plank, holding for a count. And then as you exhale, push hips up into downward dog. Kicking up into three-legged dog on the other leg, stepping forward. Steadying yourself on this side as you ground through the front leg. Rising up into crescent lunge with the other leg forward. And as you exhale, slowly drop that back knee. Maybe you touch the ground, maybe you don't. But after 3 reps, bring hands to heart center and twist that elbow to the opposite knee, which is out in front. Just like we did on the other side, just like we did in chair pose. 3 repetitions, and then hold for 3 breaths, allowing that breath and that exhale to twist and rotate that spine a little more. On your next breath, spin that back foot, find your warrior 2, and then when you're ready, flip that front palm, reach behind the back into peaceful warrior, side bending away from the front leg. And you can't see that back foot, but they should be perpendicular, pointing in opposite directions, 90 degrees. Well, not opposite directions, but in 90 degrees. And then when you're ready, push that front leg straight, kick that hip back, reach along the inside of that front leg down into triangle pose. So both hands are stacked on one another, turning the chest as much as you can. And then when you're ready, turn towards the floor, step back into plank, and slowly drop the knees as you exhale, hips to heels, child's pose. Take as long as you'd like, but on your next breath in, rise through table, lift the knees, and exhale, hips up and back, downward dog. On your breath in, kick up into three-legged dog. Go ahead and stack one hip on top of the other, and then step forward into that crescent lunge again with hands to heart center. This time we're going to work that that back foot forward, just kind of bringing that base a little bit closer together, moving into half moon. So we're going to shift that weight forward, lift that back foot. When you're steady, go ahead and bend all the way so that back leg and the torso are parallel with the ground. You can use a yoga block for balance on one side. So just steadying yourself with your hand on your hip, one hand on the yoga block. Go ahead and rotate, open up that chest to the side wall away from your front leg. And after 3 breaths, reach and rotate towards the ceiling with that top hand. Turning sideways as much as you can, working on your balance through that front leg. And when you're ready, bring hands back to heart center, but hold your position. Reach forward with both arms on your exhale and hold for 3 breaths in warrior 3. So we went from half moon right into warrior 3. When you're ready, go ahead and drop that back foot into our crescent lunge. Place both hands on the ground, step back to plank. And as you exhale, drop the knees and bring the hips to heels, child's pose. And I know we went kind of fast through that. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So you'll breathe in, rise through table, up into downward dog, into three-legged dog, the other side. And you're going to rotate if you would like. One hip on top of the other, bending that knee to the opposite back pocket. Taking that hip opener only if you'd like. And then step forward, finding your crescent lunge. Maybe you get that yoga block ready. But you'll rise up into that crescent lunge and then work your back foot forward, taking your time to stabilize through your front leg. So you can bend from the waist, reach down towards that support, and place the other hand on your hip. And when you're ready, you're going to rotate away from your front leg, spinning that top hip up towards the ceiling and then turning it back down towards the ground. On your third rep, reach up towards the ceiling with the top hand. Hold that balance. Just using fingertips on the yoga block. Maybe you don't need the yoga block, but just make sure we stay all on one leg. Bring hands back to heart center and then reach forward right into warrior 3. Reaching up as high as you can, bringing the biceps above the ears, kicking that back heel into the wall, and then slowly drop that back foot. Frame your front foot and then step back to plank. And as you exhale, slowly drop the knees and pause for a second in table. When you're ready, exhale, hips to heels, child's pose once again. And I'll pause the video here. So if you would like to repeat that sequence several times, feel free to do that. Breathing in, rising up through table, tucking the toes, lifting the knees, and exhaling, hips up and back into downward dog. Again, you can bend and straighten into one knee then the other. Continue to walk that dog out. When you're ready, kick up into 3-legged dog. Take the hip opener if you would like, spinning that top hip over the bottom hip, tucking that heel to the opposite back pocket. And when you do that, try not to twist or turn the shoulders or arms. Keep that upper body square to the floor. And then when you're ready, step forward to the outside of your hands. And then just take your time, steady yourself with your fingertips, grounding through that front leg, up into crescent lunge. And then work that back foot a little bit closer. Find your yoga block if you need it. And then just take your time in hinging from the waist, kicking the back leg up so it's parallel with the floor and parallel with your torso, creating one straight line from your ankle through your knee into your hip, all the way through your shoulder. When you're ready, place one hand on the yoga block and then one hand on the hip and rotate away from that front leg, spinning that hip over the other and turning back towards the ground, maintaining that same parallel position. 3 breaths. And after 3 breaths, bring hands straight to heart center. Don't step down. When you're ready, reach forward with your fingertips, bringing your biceps up towards the ears as high as you can, retracting the shoulder blades as you reach forward. In this position, make sure you're kicking that back heel as far back as you can, allowing that knee to straighten a little bit more on that back leg. And when you're ready, go ahead and drop that back foot. Let go of the balance. Let the muscles relax. Frame that front foot with both hands. Step back to plank. And slowly lower down into child's pose. Feel free to do the other side. But if you're ready, go ahead and rise back up into table. This time we're going to just rotate and sit. And then fall onto your back for fish pose. So when you're ready, rise back up through table. Go ahead and just turn seated and then quickly onto your back. But first, let's grab both knees, pull them up towards your chest and shoulders, rocking side to side, letting the weight of your body massage the low back muscles. You can do this as long as you want. You can grab the outsides of the feet, bending one knee then the other, just moving in and out of happy baby. And then when you're ready, you're going to place both feet on the floor with the knees wide, keeping the bottoms of your feet pressed together. And I've just put yoga blocks underneath each knee. You can use pillows if you'd like, or you can go without just to let that groin stretch a little more. But in this position, put one hand on the chest, one hand on the stomach. And as we wind down, connect back with your breath, breathing as deeply as you can, feeling both hands rise and fall with each breath. When you're ready, focus on just moving the bottom hand. So we're working on some diaphragmatic breathing to just pull yourself down into relaxation a little bit more. Sort of an active shavasana, if you will. But breathing through the stomach and diaphragm, allowing that bottom hand to rise as the abs push up. And as you exhale, contract the abs a little bit, allowing all of that breath to exit the lungs. But only breathing with the stomach, that top hand remaining perfectly still. Again, I'll pause the video here. Once again, allowing you to focus on that breath for as long as you'd like. But just holding your position, calling all of your attention to the breath and only your breath. Focusing on using the diaphragm to pull that air into the stomach, up into the rib cage, and into the lungs without that chest rising. And with that diaphragmatic breathing, our body's allowed to find a little bit deeper relaxation. Very much the same way that you can relax in sleep. So breathing with the diaphragm, letting that bottom hand rise. Be a little active with your abs, pushing all of that breath out. Breathing in once again, allowing the bottom hand to rise. That top hand stays perfectly still. Just breathing diaphragmatically, breathing parasympathetically. Finding some relaxation. Concentrating only on your breath. When you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes, remove the blocks. Make your way out of fish pose into your side lying fetal position with the hand rested on the upper arm, or the head, I should say, rested on the upper arm. Just take a second, open the eyes, take in the light of the room. And once you're ready, go ahead and push yourself up with both hands. Find that seated position that we started in. And then like we did before, find just a second to offer some gratitude to yourself, to those around you, for all the good things that you have, for all the blessings that you have as well. And then when you're ready, set some sort of intention for yourself, for someone else, as you move forward today, this week, and this month. When you're ready, open the eyes. If they were closed, place hands to heart center and offer gratitude to one another, saying, "The light inside of me sees the light inside of you." Namaste.